Welcome live from Sioux City, Iowa. Just one more time, Pioneer Sideline on the road from the national tournament here with the women's basketball NAIA Division II. Myself, Aaron Cooney, Kevin Calhoun to my left, Matt Desmond to my right. And guys, first ever women's basketball game in Point Park history in the national tournament. Let's go to the highlights. And let's get into it. Point Park warming up. There you see April Austin and Jocelyn Peterkin, the team getting set for their first ever NAIA D2 women's tournament. And it's the Point Park Pioneers getting things off early. Johnson Peterkin on the inside. And now watch this play. The very next play, Emily Schartner battling in there for a loose rebound and gets rolled up and on top of her head. Steigelman of Corban University rolls on her head. She would be shaken up. She would finish the rest of the first half. There you see Bennett on the inside for Corban. They're trying to get heated up, but April Austin for 3 and for 1,000 career points at Point Park University. That one Point Park still leads, but they're coming right back to the Warriors, battling back. There's Sugawa for 3. Then to the inside, here comes Fetters. Bucket and the foul. She'll have the line connect there. This is all part of a 16-5 run as Fetters one more time from way downtown. That one came from Oregon. Point Park, though, down 7, 2:30 to go. Need to get something happening. There's Kristen Beatty with a good shake and bake to the inside, trying to climb back. And then with time running down, Emily Schartner, who said she was hurt, still hits the 3, ties the game up. They're at 31 going into the half, and that would be the last we see of Schartner. She would leave, not play in the second half due to concussion-like symptoms. Second half, Bennett for the Warriors, kicking things off early once again like the first half. And then watch the spinneroonie from Sugawa. Gets around Savitsky, goes up. Nice finish there. They're up by 5. 40-35 does Corban lead. Savitsky, though, with the miss. Rebound there's Jocelyn Peterkin. She was an absolute monster this entire game. Bucket in the foul for her. Then watch this play. Who's got Mauser? All by herself alone, somehow get not a defender within 8 feet of her. Point Park trying to climb back, though. They're down by 7, and they would hit a 7-0 run there. Austin kicking things off. Then Savitsky for 3. As I mentioned, all part of a 7-0 run. Point Park looking to get their first lead since the first half, and Savitsky connects there. 57-56, 2.5 to play. Now under a minute. Couple free throws. Fetters hits one. Pioneers down by 2 now. The other way, Beatty got fouled. She hits 1 of 2. Pioneers trail by 1, need to get a stop. The ball's knocked out of bounds by Steigelman 22 seconds ago. Pioneers have the ball. It's in their hands of April Austin. What are they going to do? They can't make the shot. Rebound, though, tipped. Going to be gathered up by Point Park. Savitsky calls a timeout wisely. Last chance. Peterkin with 6 seconds to go for the win. No, it's not going to happen, and the Point Park Pioneers fall to Corban University 60-58. That's how it ends.
My heart just goes out to my team because they played so hard, and like their head coach was saying, that neither team really deserved to lose that game. But you know, the sun will come up tomorrow. You know, so it's not the end of the world. And it was a fantastic year, and these girls have a lot to be proud of. We definitely need to bring in some more scoring, and you know, the defense is there, the foundation is there. Now we need to get some players that are going to hit some open jump shots and consistently, and just find a couple, you know, go-to players that can score. But you know, hopefully we can make it back next year.
I thought we had their defense figured out. I know they play a real good man defense, and late in the season they put on that 2-3 zone, but it was kind of spread. At the top, they spread the guards, and so we ran that 1-4, and wouldn't you know it, the top 2 guards pinched. But we have an answer for that. And yeah, it was helpful to have been here before. The situation's the same, and experience was a key factor. Had I not been here before, I would have done what I did, was talk to other coaches who have been here, and I would have heard what they said, but I might not have digested it all as well if I hadn't been here. But I think that'll help Point Park in the future a lot.
Well, guys, that's how it played out the end of the season here for the Pioneers. But, I mean, let's go a little more in depth of the game. You guys were here. Kevin, what went wrong for this Pioneers team?
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot went wrong for this team, Aaron. This was a team that we questioned all year long as to what their offense could do on a national stage. We knew what the defense brought. We knew that they could play with any team defensively. The question was going to be, what are they going to do on the offensive side of the ball? Today they struggled, but I think, Matt, I don't think that you can overshadow the fact that they were playing without Emily Schartner on the offensive side of the floor.
Definitely, Kevin. You bring up a good point there. You know, Emily Schartner was huge for the Pioneers in that AMC championship game. She had 19 points against the Damon Wildcats. You know, she is the main threat from beyond the three-point arc, so they really had to work around her beyond out of the lineup. You know, she had some concussion-like symptoms, so they had to turn to other offensive players. And April Austin, she really turned on her engines in this game. And Jocelyn Peterkin, you really cannot say enough about what the game she had today. And, you know, those two senior leaderships right there, Jocelyn Peterkin and April Austin, just gave it all they had for this game. And, you know, you really have to give Point Park all the credit for all the offense they're providing without the services of Emily Shartner.
Yeah, no, you didn't really expect the Pioneers to come out and put up 58 points, especially if I were to tell you beforehand they'd be playing without Emily Shartner for the majority of the game, the entirety of the second half, without their leading scorer from beyond the arc on the season. So it was an impressive job done by the Pioneers. The defense was there, and guys, Aaron, you and I talked about it on the broadcast, is Tony Grenick talked all year long about keep the other team under 60, score 61. It was a 60-58 final. I think we knew he was right about everything he said this year.
Yes.
Couldn't have been more spot on.
Yes, 2-point loss for the Pioneers. And yeah, let's go into that defense. You know, it seemed like things just weren't there. And early on, they really brought it to them, did Corban. Pioneers didn't respond real well. And the defense didn't kind of bail them out until later on in the game. And it just wasn't there both sides of the ball throughout the whole 40 minutes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right when you talk about the fact that toward the middle to the end of the first half, it was a big run by Corban. The Pioneers were having trouble on the offensive side of the ball, which is to be expected, but on the defensive side of the ball as well, which is something which comes out of nowhere, comes out of the blue with this team, with how good they are on the defensive side. And you know, Corban shot over 35% in both halves. The second half, they actually ended up shooting the ball better from the field than they did in the first half. A lot of that came from Bennett early on in the second half, and I think the reason the Pioneers were able to stay in this without Shartner, Matt, was because Bennett fouled out there with 5 minutes to go in the game. A big inside presence for Corban that they were missing down the stretch.
Yeah, when we talked to Tony Grenick about that, he really compared Bennett to a Kristen Beatty, someone who can drive to the hoop, someone who can get under your skin for the Corban Warriors. And, you know, when foul trouble comes on the issue, you know, Corban, you know, they handled it well. They didn't panic. They went to their bench. There's a very well-played Corban team out there. You know, and one thing that the coach of the Corban Warriors said, I think the Pioneers overlooked our bench depth. And, you know, when we were looking at this in the pregame, you know, they only had 6 players, it looked like, on the score sheet, but they had some more players come out there and really worked for the Corban Warriors. So, you know, something really can't overlook there, and it was a really good point that the head coach of the Corban Warriors brought up in the postgame.
Yeah, Matt, that's something that we came in, we were very surprised to see that really only 6 players saw a lot of minutes for this team, only 6 above 10 minutes a game, and only a handful of players averaging over 5 points a game. And that was not the case today. We saw a lot of action from a lot of players. Sagawa was big on the outside. Fetters was huge. And Aaron, you know, they were able to get Van Werdhuizen in foul trouble early, but they weren't really able to take advantage.
And she wasn't that much of a factor either way. Scoreless in the first half, didn't put up any points until she hit the free throw line about halfway through that second half. So did a good job game planning there. But I want to ask you guys, Pioneers are very confident coming into this game. And did you get a hint maybe as the game started, that kind of went away, they kind of lost their swagger just a little bit, maybe a little too overconfident coming in?
I think it was much overconfidence as really it was nerves of being in the NAIA National Tournament. I mean, neither team came out, as our colleague Chris Albin would say, like a house of fire, but they were struggling from the field. They really were early on in this game, and I think that was nerves. But if it was nerves, they didn't really settle down, Matt, all that much throughout the game. Neither team shot the ball all that well. Even coming down the stretch, the Pioneers were able to hit a few shots, but it seemed like every single time the Pioneers would hit a shot, Corban would hit 2.
Yeah, good points you bring up there, Kevin. I don't think it was too much confidence. You know, I don't think they were being too cocky out there. But, you know, for the Point Park Pioneers, when those nerves did set in, you know, April Austin, she did step up for the Pioneers. When they went on that 7-0 run for the Pioneers, you know, she really incorporated her defense, what she learned from Coach Tony Grenick, into the game plan, and she took over the game there. You know, you saw April Austin really turn that defense into offense, and that's exactly what Coach Tony Grenick wanted her to do as a ball player in this system, and she's going to be doing flourishing things for the Pioneers as we move on next season. And, you know, they're going to have to rebuild, losing some seniors, you know, but April Austin really was a spark plug for this team.
Now, guys, you know, we didn't think they were going to be this far. Coming into the season, I don't think there are a whole lot of people that thought they could, other than Tony Grenick, who told the team before he was hired that they get them to the AMC Championship game and to the NAIA tournament. But what can be said about this season and going on to the future, Matt?
You know, for this team, you know, you have Emily Shartner. She's going to be a senior next year in her junior season right now. Then Katrisa Savitsky, the defensive player she's going to just add to the spark of this team next year. But, you know, they're going to have to go on the recruiting end and bring some scores into the system. You're losing some main scorers there on the inside. You got Johnson Peterkin. She's going to need to be replaced. You know, you need to get a tall figure on the inside in the paint, trying to work around some teams. And, you know, you have to have a threat under the hoop, and they need to bring in a threat under the hoop to replace Johnson Peterkin. And you also, you have Kristen Beatty, who's a very good force out there. Off the dribble, she just goes inside the paint, and she's really a destructible force out there for the Pioneers. So, I mean, it's not going to be a cultural shock, I want to say, but, they're going to have to bring in some players to really just mend into this system that Coach Tony Rennick has going here.
Yeah, Matt, you hit exactly on the point that I was going to go to, is the fact that this team, they have a lot of scorers on this team and a lot of really good defenders. When you look at players like Savitsky and Shartner, and you're probably going to get Austin back for at least the second semester next season. You talk about players like Davis coming back next semester, next season, Sauer, but there's no Peterkin on that bench. Jocelyn Peterkin, 6'2". She blocks shots. She scores on the inside. Her last game, 17 and 11. You cannot overshadow how big she has been for this team in both physical size and just as a force on this team's bench, in the locker room, everywhere she goes. And she's going to be really hard to replace.
Great season for the Point Park Pioneers, finishing up winning their only ever AMC championship in the tournament there. First ever berth for the women's basketball program into the NAIA National Tournament, and fantastic season all around. I'd like to thank them for letting us tag along and try and bring the game to you live here from Sioux City, Iowa. And also, what can you say? Fantastic job from the seniors, Jocelyn Peterkin, Kristen Veselani, Kristen Beatty, Emily Anderson, the team manager for the past 4 years, and also April Austin, if she decides to come back. If she doesn't, I'm sure they'd welcome her back with open arms.
No doubt about it.
But from us, we thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed Sideline on the road. We thank you, and we'll see you back in the studio Monday.